Dear friend, now in the dusty, clockless hours of the town, when the streets lie black and steaming in the wake of the water trucks, and now when the drunk and the homeless have washed up in the lee of walls in alleys or abandoned lots, and cats go forth high-shouldered and lean in the grim perimeters about. Now in these soot-blacked brick or cobbled corridors where light wire shadows make a Gothic harp of cellar doors, no soul shall walk save you. Old stone walls unplumbed by weathers, lodged in their strife fossil bones, limestone scarabs rocked in the floor of this once inland sea. Thin dark trees through yon iron palings where the dead keep their own small metropolis. Curious marble architecture, stele and obelisk and cross and little rain-worn stones where names grow dim with years. Earth packed with samples of the casket maker's trade, the dusty bones and rotted silk, the deathware stained with carrion. Out there, under the blue lamplight, the trolley tracks run on to darkness, curved like cock heels in the pitch-black dust. The steel leaks back the day's heat. You can feel it through the floors of your shoes. Past these corrugated warehouses, walls down little sandy streets where blown-out autos sulk on pedestals of cinder block. Through warrens of sumac and pokeweed and withered honeysuckle giving on to the scored clay banks of the railway. Grey vines coiled leftward in this northern hemisphere, what winds them shapes the dog-whelk shell. Weeds sprouted from cinder and brick. A steam shovel reared in solitary abandonment against the night sky. Cross here, by frog rails and fish plates where engines cough like lions in the dark of the yard. To a darker town, past lamps stoned blind, past smoking oblique shacks and china dogs and painted tires where dirty flowers grow. Down pavings rent with ruin, the slow cataclysm of neglect, the wires that belly pole to pole across the constellations hung with kite string, with bolos composed of hobbled bottles or the toys of the smaller children. Encampment of the damned. Precincts, perhaps, where dripping lepers prowl unbelled. Above the heat and the improbable skyline of the city a brass moon has risen, and the clouds run before it like watered ink. The buildings stamped against the night are like a rampart to a farther world forsaken, old purposes forgot. Countrymen come for miles with the earth clinging to their shoes and sit all day like mutes in the marketplace. This city, constructed on no known paradigm, a mongrel architecture reading back through the works of man in a brief delineation of the aberrant, disordered, and mad. A carnival of shapes upreared on the river plain that has dried up the sap of the earth for miles about. Factory walls of old dark brick, tracks of a spur line grown with weeds, a course of foul blue drainage where dark filaments of nameless dross sway in the current. Tin panes among the glass in the rusted window frames. There is a moon-shaped rictus in the street lamp's globe where a stone has gone, and from this aperture there drifts down through the constant helix of aspiring insects a faint and steady rain of the same forms, burnt and lifeless. Here at the creek mouth the field runs on to the river, the mud deltaed and bearing out of its rich alluvial harbored bones and dread waste a rack of crate wood and condoms and fruit rinds. Old tins and jars and ruined household artifacts that rear from the fecal mire of the flats like landmarks on the trackless veils of dementia. A world beyond all fantasy, malevolent and tactile and dissociate. The blown light bulbs like shorn polyps, semi-translucent and skull-colored, bobbing blindly down, and spectral eyes of oil, and now and again the beached and stinking forms of fetal humans bloated like young birds, moon-eyed and bluish or stale gray. Beyond in the dark the river flows in a sluggard ooze toward southern seas, running down out the rain-flattened corn and petty crops and river-loam gardens of up-country land-keepers, grading along like bone dust, afreight with the past, dreams dispersed in the water some way, nothing ever lost. Houseboats ride at their hawsers, the neap mud along the shore lies ribbed and slick like the cavernous flitch of some beast hugely foundered, and beyond the country rolls away to the south and the mountains, where hunters and woodcutters once slept in their boots by the dying light of their thousand fires, and went on, old Teutonic forebears with eyes incandesced by the visionary light of a massive rapacity, wave on wave of the violent and the insane, their brains stoked with sporeless analogues of all that was, lean Aryans with their abrogate Semitic chapbook reenacting the dramas and parables therein, and mindless and pale with a longing that nothing save dark's total restitution could appease. We are come to a world within the world. In these alien reaches, these mager sinks and interstitial wastes that the righteous see from carriage and car, another life dreams, ill-shapen or black or deranged, fugitive of all order, strangers in every land. The night is quiet, like a camp before battle. The city beset by a thing unknown, and will it come from forest or sea? The merengers have walled the pale, the gates are shut, but lo, the things inside, and can you guess his shape? Where he's kept, or what's the counter of his face? Is he a weaver, bloody shuttle shot through a time warp, a carter of souls from the world's nap? Or a hunter with hounds? Or do bone horses draw his dead cart through the streets, and does he call his trade to each? Dear friend, he is not to be dwelt upon, for it is by just such wise that he's invited in. The rest, indeed, is silence. It has begun to rain, light summer rain. You can see it falling slant in the town lights. The river lies in a grail of quietude. Here, from the bridge, the world below seems a gift of simplicity, curious no more. Down there in grots of fallen light, a cat transpires from stone to stone across the cobbles liquid black, and soon in rapid antipodes over the rain-dark street to vanish cat and counter-cat in the rifted works beyond. Faint summer lightning far down river. A curtain is rising on the western world. A fine rain of soot, dead beetles, anonymous small bones. The audience sits webbed in dust. Within the gutted sockets of the interlocutor's skull a spider sleeps, and the jointed ruins of the hanged fool dangle from the fly's bone pendulum in motley. Four-footed shapes go to and fro over the boards. Ruder forms survive.